Well, guys, as you can imagine, I get questions every day asking, where can I buy a cheap blank? Or is this item available somewhere? And a lot of times the answer is no. What they're asking for just wasn't out there, not being made commercially. Or if it is out there, it's so incredibly expensive, it's simply not worth it. But you know, Locksport community is pretty creative. And so when we see something we need, we generally make it. And so the things I'm going to show you today are made by Locksporters for Locksporters. So let's hop to it. The first thing, and by far the most common question I get is, where can I get a cheap pinning kit to pin up some challenge locks? And you know, when you go on eBay, this is the kind of stuff you're going to find. Several $100s, and it's about 1,000 years worth of pins. Way more than we need as Locksporters. What we need is a little bitty kit, you know, designed for maybe, you know, 20 or 30 challenge locks at a reasonable price. And so Safeguard Locksmiths, they're also Locksporters, came up with this cool little kit. Comes in a little plastic container. You got 6 different size key pins. You got some security pins. There's about 50 of them in there. You got some master wafers if you want to experiment with master keying something. If you're like me and you break your circlips, there's a bunch of brand new ones there. And again, like me, if your springs tend to shoot all over the lock lab and roll underneath benches, you don't have to crawl under with a flashlight anymore. You got a pretty good assortment right there. I call this this is not their name, this is my name, the Universal Kit, because this will pin up about 90% of the locks that we play with. It won't work on master locks or American locks. They won't work on Best or Medico, but pretty much everything else. The Russwins and Sargents and Schlage, Quicksets, Russwins, Arrows, Seagulls, Wisers, Westlocks, Abises, Yales, it'll fit all those. So this is really the kind of kit that we need, a reasonable size and, of course, reasonably priced. This is available. By the way, I'm going to put the eBay link in the description. SafeHAVEN sells this on eBay for $33, or I think it's 24 pounds. Okay, I got 6 items today we're going to be taking a look at. I don't want to create 6 new giveaway buttons on the website, so I'm going to give these away on the fly. So if you've ever registered for any giveaway, I had my webmaster draw from that pool of names randomly, and this first kit is going to go to Robert Miles. I'll send you an email and ask you for your mailing address. And Robert, if you'll return it, I'll get this in the mail to you. All right, the next question, and I should probably be asking this question myself, is where can I get a kit that'll help me take apart and reassemble Euro cylinders? You guys have seen me flounder around with these and hack them up horribly. Well, SafeHAVEN Locksmith has also put together this little kit. It's got all the tools you need to work on a Euro cylinder. Now let's take a look at this guy. No pins, obviously. So we have a lock, and let's say we managed to pick him. Now we want to repin him. Well, a couple of problems with that. If it's the entire cylinder, there's no way we can get a follower in there. But how do we repin him? Well, there's a tool for it. First of all, we need to remove the circlip off of the back. There's a tool for that right there. It's got a little notch in it, and this is designed to fit into a razor knife. So very cool, very well thought out. Remove the circlip, and then before you pull that cylinder out, what you'd want to do is rotate it down like that, and that would allow all the driver pins to push up into the keyway. Once you've done that, you need to push them back down, and there's some tools for that as well. We've got 2 of them here. One of them is slightly longer than the other. One of them is for a 6-pin lock, and one of them is for a 5-pin lock. So this 5-pin lock, we're going to take this guy, and we're just going to slide him in there. And as we slide him in, that little bar is pushing all those pins down. Once we're holding them in place, then we can carefully remove the core. We can set them aside. And if I can get the camera to cooperate, you can see what that tool is doing. It's holding them all in place. And then as we slide it out one at a time, we can allow them in a controlled fashion to come out. And then we can, one at a time from the front to rear, repin everything. Once we've got it repinned, then we take our core, slide it back in there, and then we simply remove the tool. And now we have a freshly repinned lock. Slide around, ready to go. Very cool, everything you need not only to assemble, disassemble, or shim the lock, You can also repin it because there's a little chain container there with all security pins. And then the one on the right there is all different sized key pins. Replacement circlips, because I tend to break those things when I cut them or over bend them. And then we have a whole bunch of springs. There's also a couple of replacement anti-drill little carbide rods there. Occasionally those fall out and you lose them, and you got some replacements there. You have a steel follower with different cutouts on both ends to help you do all of your disassembly. Very, very cool kit. On eBay, this one is selling for $55 or 41 pounds. Very cool. This also is going to go to Beau Steward. Beau, I'm going to drop you an email. Send me that address, guy. All right, another common question is where can I get a very high security training lock? Now, you guys have seen me show Jimu 57's locks before, and I think this time he's really outdone himself with this selection I'm getting ready to show you. There's no higher security lock than this guy right here. This is a Assa V10, and he also sells, looks almost identical, an Assa Twin. They're almost identical locks. He's gone to the trouble to thread all of the chambers and put in plugs. It is plugged up with standard pins at this point. It also has a sidebar located along the left side. You can see the cutout on the key right there. Now the advantage, of course, is that I want to learn how to pick the sidebar. Kind of difficult to get the feel for that. I might want to remove all 6 of those pins and just work on the sidebar. So the only feedback I'm getting is from that sidebar. Once I figured that out, then I might pin up 1, 2, and then progressively pin it up with standard pins. Once I master that, then I would repopulate all 6 of them with some of the original Assa steel high security pins. And these guys, in that counter milled core on that V10, that will keep you busy for a long, long time, I promise you. There's also a bag of different size key pins. So if you really beat that lock, then you can randomly pin it up with different size key pins. Very cool setup. He's only got 12 of those, and he's going to be selling those on eBay. The link's going to be in the description for $69. This one is going to be going to Vitali M. Vitali, I will drop you an email. The next one's a very cool lock. This also is a Assa, but this is an Assa kick cylinder. Jim found these somewhere, unpinned. Zero bit. He pinned them all up with brand new lab standard pins and brand new lab springs. He tapped all of the chambers and then put plugs in them. What makes this one unique is that the core on this one is factory countermilled. So with standard pins, you can learn how to pick a countermilled core. And then as you get better and better, you can start repinning it with different size key pins. There's no key with this, by the way. And more importantly, you can start pinning up that countermilled core with those pins that are designed to be in it. That will definitely keep you very, very busy. Without a key, this is going to sell on eBay for $29, and he has, I think, 12. He told me 12 of those as well. This one is going to be going to Bryan Torok. This next one is actually a set of locks. Both of these are Yale locks. Let's start with the easy part first. It's actually a genius idea on Jimu 57's part. First of all, we got a standard cylinder, Yale keyway, got an original key, works beautifully, and both of these are 6-cylinder cylinders. Are identical in almost every way. They're both tapped, threaded on the top here with cap screws in them. This one only has 5 that are populated. It's populated with all standard pins, both drivers and key pins. As you get better, there's the replacement part to put another pin in that last hole and also to plug it up. So you get good with 6 standard pins and a standard cylinder. All right, at some point you're going to want to improve. So you can either repopulate this with a bag of security pins right here, both serrated and spools, or you can remove this unthreaded core. This is an OEM core, and replace it with this guy. All of them are threaded. And then you can do it with standard pins or those high security pins. And then when you get really good, you can keep this core and use this core, which is threaded not only on the top, but it's threaded all the way through. So every single chamber on this will be threaded. You populate with this with all serrated pins, you have your job cut out for you. You better bring a bagged lunch. It's going to take a while. Jim, let's see, he's got, he calls this the Double Trouble. And this one's going to Stephen Miller. He's got, let's see, he's got 19 of these, and he's going to sell the set of them for $49. Now you notice we got two keys here. One of them, which Jim U57 is not allowed to sell on eBay, is a bump key. But he's going to throw a bump key in with this kit so you can get a feel for what it's like to bump a lock. So very cool, very nice of him to do that. This set is going to go to Stephen Miller. All right, this next kit, I almost think that this should be a collector's item. Let me move this out of the way a little bit. It looks like a standard cylinder. It is a Schlage, and this is a Schlage 1345R, R being reverse. You notice the core is a different color. Here's what happened. Years ago, quite a while ago, they decided that they were going to make this R core, and that would enable people to remove an OEM core from any Schlage lock, pop it out, throw it away, and replace it with this unique core, this limited keyway core. A little bit unusual, it makes it harder to pick, it's a little more paracentric, and it's different. You just couldn't get keys everywhere, so controlled keys. The project didn't take off, so a whole bunch of these cores sat in a locksmith drawer for years and years and years, until Jim U57 found them in that drawer in California, and now he's replugged a bunch of standard Schlage bodies with that 1345R core. Pinned them all up, he's threaded it all, and he's given you, with this kit, let's see, you not only get a key that works perfectly, but he's also come up, believe it or not, with a bump key for this lock. So very cool. Inside of here you get security pins, different size key pins, and a bunch of replacement parts, plugs, springs, little wrench with it. He's got a limited number. I think he's got 19 of these as well, and he's going to sell these for $39. This one is belonging to James Downey. Congratulations, James. I'll get that to you. All right, the last item, and I'm not going to make this a separate giveaway because it's so small, but I get questions about these pins. These are like hen's teeth. These are the Assa high security steel pins. They're really difficult to find. When you can find them on some of the forums on eBay, the guys are trying to sell them for $2 or $3 a piece. Somehow or another, Jim U57's found a good supply of these. He didn't tell me how many, and he's included inside of each of these bags are 12 pins, and there's 4 different sizes, so there's 3 of each size, so it's enough basically to do 2 complete locks. He's going to sell these, or is selling these on eBay for $5 for a bag of 12 pins. Such a small giveaway. What I'm going to do is just add 1 bag of Assa high security pins to each of these giveaways, and that way save time, save mailing costs. Anyway, there you go, guys. All the new stuff that's out there, stuff that's put together by lock sporters, for lock sporters. It doesn't get any better than this. Things are getting, for us, our lives are getting easier and easier as more of these things are becoming available for us. Anyway, fellas, appreciate your time. Stay safe. Stay legal.